a child stolen, a mother trapped, and a war rising in the shadows. Blood of My Blood Season 2 might change everything we thought we knew about the Fraser family legacy. Because this time, the story isn't just about love, time travel, or destiny. It's about a decision that could rewrite history. Brian and Ellen might adopt William and raise him as their own. But how could this happen? And why would a future child fall into the hands of a family from the past? Let's dig into the theory that is shaking the entire Outlander universe. The Jacobite Rising of 1715 has finally begun. And just like we feared, the flames of this war are burning everything in their path: families, loyalties, and the future itself. At the end of Season 1, Brian and Ellen Fraser finally found each other after years of heartbreak. But their reunion came with a price. The drums of war were already echoing through the Highlands, and Brian did not hesitate. He chose the Jacobite cause, the same path that would one day shape his son Jamie Fraser's destiny. But what if this war shapes another child we never expected? Because far from the Fraser lands, something else is happening, something even more dangerous. Archbug is hunting Julia and William, and without gemstones, their next attempt to time travel through the stones might fail. The moment that ring gemstone fell, everything changed. Henry carries the remaining stones, and if he doesn't return in time, Julia and the child are trapped. A mother from the future and a child who does not belong to this century are now at the mercy of men who want revenge, power, and control. Simon Fraser still believes William is his son. His pride is hurt, his trust broken, and betrayal has turned him into someone far more ruthless. If Archbug delivers Julia and William to him, Simon might try to shape William into his heir, twisting the child's fate and turning him against his true family. But there is one more possibility, the one that could change everything we know about the Fraser bloodline. What if Julia, desperate and terrified, makes a choice no mother should ever have to make? What if she asks Brian and Ellen Fraser to take William and protect him as their own? This theory becomes even stronger when we remember something that has haunted the Fraser family for generations. Brian and Ellen's first child was also named William. A William who will die too young, at just 11 years old. A William whose existence shaped the grief inside this family. So what happens if the two Williams become one? A future child living the life that another William never had the chance to live? If Julia realizes she cannot break free from Simon, or cannot escape the rising war, she might place the child in Brian and Ellen's care. She might believe that the only way for William to survive is to be raised by the people who will one day become the cornerstone of Jamie Fraser's legacy. And if this happens, something extraordinary begins. Brian and Ellen Fraser might raise two sons. One born of their love and one born of time itself. Imagine Ellen, while Brian is away at war, protecting not only baby Jamie growing inside her, but also William, a child who carries the future in his blood. Imagine the danger around them. The Mackenzies watching, the Grants seeking revenge, and enemies waiting in the dark. Every decision Ellen makes could change the history we already know. Would she hide William's true identity? Would she pretend he is their own flesh and blood? Or would the truth spread across the Highlands like wildfire? This is where the story reaches a point that could shake everything in the Outlander universe. If William becomes part of the Fraser household, even temporarily, then the path of the future changes. The legacy changes. The memories change. Jamie's childhood changes. Because he would grow up not as the firstborn, but with an older brother beside him, one he should never have known. And in the middle of all this chaos, there is one man who can change the course of this war, this child's fate, and the fragile peace between the clans. Mert. Loyal, quiet, and stronger than anyone realizes, he is the only one Brian trusts fully. If Brian must leave William behind when he rides into battle, it might be Mert who guards the child. Mert who protects Ellen. Mert who carries the secret that could destroy all of them if it is ever revealed. Because if the English discover that a child from another century now lives in the Fraser household, the war will no longer be about Scottish freedom. It will become a hunt for the impossible, a hunt for time itself. Brian and Ellen do not know it yet, But the child they hold in their arms may not only be the key to their survival. He might be the beginning of a destiny even greater than Jamie Fraser's. As the Jacobite Rising spreads across Scotland, the clans begin to divide. Loyalties shift like the Highland winds, and every family must decide whether they will stand for the Stuart claim or bend the knee to the English crown. Brian Fraser's decision was immediate, driven by both honor and fury, but not everyone stands behind him. Because the moment word spreads that he returned, the Mackenzies, the Grants, and the Frasers all begin preparing for a conflict that may not wait for the English army to arrive. Colum and Dougal Mackenzie know that Brian's return puts their clan in danger. Brian is the man who took their sister Ellen and refused to obey the marriage demanded of her. Old wounds, especially Mackenzie wounds, do not fade with time. They sharpen. And now, with Malcolm Grant's uncle pushing for vengeance, clan politics are turning into a trap. If William is now hidden among the Frasers, then Brian and Ellen are not just fugitives. They are guardians of a secret that could unite the Highlands or destroy every Fraser alive. Because William is more than a child. To some, he is a bargaining tool. To others, he is a threat. And to Simon Fraser, who believes William is his rightful son, he is a symbol of power. If Simon learns where William is, he may demand custody, claiming that Brian has betrayed the bloodline of Lova. And Simon is not a man who makes empty threats. He may not only challenge Brian in battle, he may turn other clans against him, promising land, titles, and English favor to anyone who hands the child over. Meanwhile, Malcolm Grant is preparing his own strategy. His uncle has never accepted peace with the Mackenzies, and Brian's return has become the spark he needed to ignite old hatred. The Grants have lost too much, and Malcolm's uncle believes every loss leads back to one name, Brian Fraser. If he learns that William is with Brian and Ellen, he might use the boy as justification to break all alliances and bring the clans into civil war even before the English arrive. Revenge is a seed Malcolm's uncle has watered for years, and now there is fertile ground for it to grow. But not everyone in the Grant family seeks blood. Maura Grant, now married to Doug Hale, has become a bridge between clans. Her marriage surprised everyone, and if she remains loyal to her husband over her uncle, she could stop the bloodshed. With Doug Hale respected across the Highlands and Mert trusted more than almost any man alive, there is a chance, however small, that the rising clans might form a fragile alliance long enough to face the English. Yet alliances built on fear are easily broken, and trust is a currency few can afford during war. That is why William's existence must remain secret. If the clans learn the truth, they will not see a child. They will see a future laird, someone who could change succession lines, inheritance, and power across the Highlands. If England learns the truth, they will view William as a weapon of rebellion and take him by force. And if the Jacobite commanders learn of him, they may use him to control Brian Fraser, pushing him into a leadership role he is not ready to accept. Because Brian is not just a soldier. In the eyes of many, he is becoming a symbol. The man loyal enough to abandon safety and ride into war for a cause already stained with failure. Men like that attract followers. And followers create armies. If rumors spread that he now protects a child whose destiny is tied to 2 centuries of Fraser blood, Brian may rise far higher than he expects and fall twice as hard when betrayal strikes. There are whispers traveling across the Highlands that the English are sending spies to gather information about the Scottish clans. If any of them hear about a strange child speaking a strange language, or a mother telling stories that do not belong to the century, the war will change. Scotland will not just fight for a king. It will fight to control something far more dangerous than any monarch, the ability to shape history. And so, the Frasers must stay steps ahead of everyone. Mert speaks quietly with the men in the taverns, learning which clans prepare their weapons and which plan to wait out the conflict. Doug Hale negotiates in the dark, offering peace if the Grants hold their swords. Maura writes to her uncle, warning him that revenge will only feed the English. And Ellen, carrying baby Jamie beneath her heart, prepares herself to protect William at all costs. War is no longer just a struggle for land or crowns. War is becoming a race to possess a child who does not belong to this world. The Jacobite banners rise across the Highlands, and every day the tension grows. What began as a rebellion for a forgotten crown has twisted into something more ruthless, more desperate. Because the clans are no longer whispering about land or kings, they are whispering about the child hidden among the phrases, a boy who should not exist in this century, a boy whose blood might carry the future itself. Brian Fraser stands between worlds, the call of war ahead of him, and a secret behind him that could shatter every alliance he needs to survive. If he rides into battle, William and Ellen will be left vulnerable. If he stays, the Jacobite leaders will call him a coward and brand him a traitor. And in the middle of this impossible choice, Henry's absence grows heavier. Without him, Julia cannot escape. Without the gemstones, time remains locked. Ellen feels this weight even more. With baby Jamie soon to be born, she now carries the future of the Fraser name in her arms and within her own body. But she also knows a truth that no one else has seen clearly yet. If William stays with them too long, if he becomes a Fraser not just in name but in history, then the future they know may never come to pass. The Jamie Fraser the world remembers may grow up in a different home, shaped by a different childhood, and walk a different path. And if that happens, then the Outlander story we know could collapse like a bridge cut at both ends. Clan politics tighten like a noose. Malcolm Grant's uncle has united a small force of followers, men who are hungry for vengeance. Simon Fraser is sending messages through the Highlands, claiming that a child has been stolen from him, twisting the truth so every laird believes Brian has violated the Fraser bloodline. And the Mackenzies watch from the shadows, calculating which side benefits them most. Every clan now sees William not as a boy, but as a weapon. Mert understands the danger better than anyone. He tells Brian that a secret like this has only two endings. Either William is protected until the war ends, or the war will be fought for William. Doughall and Mora offer to negotiate with the Grants once more, but even they know diplomacy is fading. The clans want a reason to draw their swords, and William may become that reason. Rumors begin to spread that English scouts have been seen near the Fraser lands. If the crown discovers a child whose origins cannot be explained, they will take him. Not for family, not for justice, but for power. Because if England learns that time travel is more than a story, they will try to control it, and history will no longer belong to the people who lived it. And then it happens. Under a moon hidden by storm clouds, riders are seen crossing into Fraser territory. No banner, no colors, silent as a debt long unpaid. Ellen gathers William close, one hand over her belly where Jamie grows, while Mert checks every door, every shadow. The horses stop. No one breathes. This is not the English. This is not a Jacobite patrol. This is something worse. A messenger throws a sealed letter at the door. The seal is unmistakable, Simon Fraser. Brian opens the letter and reads only one line. "Give me the child, or I will take the clan." There is no time left for negotiation, no more safety in secrets. Brian looks to William, a child who trusts him without understanding why. And in that moment, a decision begins to form, one that may change the entire Fraser legacy. If Brian and Ellen claim William as their own, if they adopt him fully and publicly, then no clan can use him as a pawn. No lord can demand ownership. But if they do, the future will change. Jamie Fraser's lineage will be rewritten, and history itself may fracture. The storm outside deepens. The door shakes. Voices gather. Ellen holds William tighter, her eyes refusing to break. And just before the lantern light goes dark, Brian gives a single command: prepare the oath. Because the moment that oath is spoken, William will no longer be a secret of time. He will be a Fraser, forever.